Raksha Bandhan. It did not start as the brother and sister festival you think it did. And this year, if you're in the UK, the date everyone in India is using is actually wrong for you. Stick with me. Both of those things are about to make sense. Every year, millions of us do this. We buy the Rakhi, we get the mithai ready, we tie the thread, and if you grew up in a British Indian family like I did, you've been doing it since you were a kid without anyone actually explaining truly what it means. So here's the question. What are we actually tying? And is it really just a brother promising to protect his sister? Because the real history goes a lot deeper than that. Stay with me. Namaste, I am Alpa Pandya and welcome to The Conscious Mic, where we look beneath the surface of India, Sanatan Dharma, and the traditions a lot of us inherited without ever being told where they came from. This one is personal. Our parents and grandparents kept these traditions alive thousands of miles from India. We got the ritual. We didn't always get the reason. So let's fix that. Raksha means protection. Bandhan means a bond. That's pretty simple. So Raksha Bandhan means a bond of protection. Notice what it doesn't say. It doesn't say brother protects sister. The meaning is bigger than that from the start. Most of us picture this as sister ties Rakhi, brother hands over cash, maybe £21 if he's traditional, £51 if you've trained him really well, or maybe it's a nice gift. But historically, protective threads weren't only tied between siblings. Priests tied them to patrons. Teachers tied them to students. Now here is something I found particularly fascinating. If we want actual historical evidence that Rakhi existed centuries ago, we do not have to rely only on legends. We have the words of a Mughal emperor himself. Emperor Jahangir recorded the Rakhi ceremony in his own memoirs, the Tusuk-e-Jahangir, also known as the Jahangir-nama. And what he describes is important because this was not a sister tying a Rakhi to her brother. Jahangir writes that during the reign of his father, Emperor Akbar, Hindu nobles would perform the ceremony of Rakhi and place elaborate threads and ornaments around Akbar's arms. He says that Brahmins also tied protective strings according to their tradition, and later during Jahangir's own reign, he allowed the practice to continue. So think about what this tells us about Raksha Bandhan. Here we have a documented account from the early 17th century showing Rakhi being tied to a Mughal emperor by Hindu nobles and Brahmins. Now that's not mythology, that's a Mughal emperor documenting a Hindu protective ritual in his own hand centuries before the version we know today existed. There is no sister, there is no brother, there is no exchange of presents. The thread is functioning as something much older and broader, a sacred thread of blessing and protection. And this is important because it supports what we have already been discovering throughout this video. Raksha Bandhan was not historically limited to the idea that a sister ties a thread and her brother promises to protect her. The concept of Raksha was much wider than that. Now, you may have also heard another very famous Mughal story connected with Raksha Bandhan, the story of Rani Karnavati of Mewar and the Emperor Humayun. According to the popular story, when Rani Karnavati faced an attack from Bahadur Shah of Gujarat, she sent a Rakhi to Humayun and asked him to protect her. Humayun supposedly accepted her as his sister and came to her aid. It's a beautiful story and it has been repeated for generations. But the historical record tells a very different story. According to an Islamic chronicle of the Gujarat Sultanate called Mirat-e-Sikandari, which was written in 1611, At the same time, Humayun had his own family crisis. His brother-in-law Muhammad Zaman Mirza had fled to Gujarat after Humayun imprisoned him and ordered him, blinded over a power struggle. Sultan Bahadur Shah, the same ruler marching on Chittor, was sheltering him. That refusal to hand him over, not Rani Karnavati's Rakhi, is what triggered Humayun's war. And through the entire siege, he never showed up. Rani Karnavati then led thousands into Jauhar. Jauhar was the act of Rajput women choosing mass self-immolation rather than face capture or dishonour when their fort was about to fall to an invading army. 32,000 Rajputs died defending the fort, and Emperor Humayun simply wasn't there to protect anyone. If you're new to this channel and you didn't know that, that's exactly the kind of thing we dig into here. Subscribe now to this channel so you don't miss where this goes next, because it gets deeper. And please hype this video. Tap the hype button and help this story reach more people, because the more we understand where our traditions come from, the less chance we have of losing their real meaning. Let's talk about the story before the story. There's an older sacred story tied to the Bhavishya Puran. The Devas were struggling in battle. Lord Indra's wife, Shachi, tied a protective thread around her husband's wrist before he went to fight. Listen to that again. A wife protecting her husband, not a sister protecting a brother. The idea underneath all of this was never gender. It was protection through blessing, prayer, and intention. Both people in that exchange are protecting each other, one through blessing, one through responsibility, both through love. Now let me talk about Shri Krishna and Draupadi. This is the story most people associate with Raksha Bandhan. Krishna injured his finger. Draupadi tore a piece of her sari and wrapped it around the wound without thinking twice. Krishna was so moved by it and promised that when she needed him, he'd be there. Many years later, when she faced humiliation in the Kaurav court, that promise is what people remember. The deepest thing being protected was never one person. It's the bond between them. And hold on to that line. We're going to come back to it. Now, over generations, this became the sibling tradition we know. And there's a real reason it mattered so much. Women often married away from their family home, and the brother relationship was often the thread back to it. Someone she could return to, someone expected to stand beside her. That's why many of us also tie something to our bhabhi, our sister-in-law. Among Marwari families, it's the Lumba Rakhi, tied to her bangle. You'll also find versions of it in Gujarati, in Jain and Agarwal families. Marriage expanded the family, so the ritual expanded with it. And it's not only a Hindu story anymore either. Many Punjabi Sikh families take part culturally, though some Sikh scholars are clear it isn't a required part of Sikh religious practice. Within the Digambara Jain tradition, there's a separate story about Muni Vishnu Kumar, who's protecting 700 Jain monks, where Raksha Bandhan became about protecting Dharma itself, not just a person. Protection of a sibling, protection of family, protection of Dharma, same word, expanding every time a new community picked it up. Now let's go back in time. In 1905, the British partitioned Bengal. Rabindranath Tagore encouraged people to use Rakhi as protest. Hindus and Muslims tied threads to each other as a statement that a political line on a map would not break their bond. A thread most of us think only belongs between a brother and sister once stood in the way of an empire's plan to divide people. That's not a small festival, that's a statement. Today, plenty of sisters tie Rakhi to their sisters. Sometimes there's no brother involved. Sometimes it's because the person who actually protected them their whole life was never a brother at all. And a couple of images I found especially sweet was this. Schoolgirls tying Rakhis on India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. A simple moment of affection, respect and tradition. Now, I don't think that breaks the tradition. I think it finally shows what was true the entire time. Protection was never exclusively male. Your sister can protect you. Your daughter can protect you. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one holding the thread, not the one wearing it. We've all grown up hearing one version of this. The sister ties the Rakhi, the brother promises to protect her. Nothing wrong with that. But in 2026, we can go one step deeper. She protects him emotionally. She protects the family. Sometimes she's the strongest one in the room. Being protected was never one person. It's the relationship. That's not new information either. That's the truth this thread has been carrying the entire time. We just didn't always say it out aloud. So here's the thing people forget. Raksha Bandhan isn't some festival that got invented for a nice family moment. It's been known as a Hindu festival since the time of the Mahabharata, some 5,000 plus years ago. And its roots actually go back even further into older Vedic celebrations tied to the summer solstice on the lunar calendar. That thread you're tying isn't just decorative either. It represents Aditi, the ecliptic, the path the sun completes and then starts again on a fresh journey across the sky. And the rituals we still do to this very day, we offer it to the Pitrus, tying the Raksha Sutra, our ancestors. None of that's a modern add-on. It's all laid out in detail in the Bhavishyottara Puran, spoken by Shri Krishna himself. And remember what I told you at the start of this video. In India, Raksha Bandhan falls on Friday the 28th of August this year. Here in the UK, the Panchang calculation puts it on Thursday 27th because the Purnima timing lands differently here. So check your local Panchang, because although the tradition crossed the world, the lunar clock didn't switch to British Standard Time with it. So next time you pick up that thread, that Rakhi, pause before you tie it. Look at the person in front of you. You're not saying, you owe me protection. You're not saying, where's my present? Though obviously don't let your brother use this video as an excuse to skip it. You're saying, may you be protected. May you be well. May this bond stay strong. And when life gets hard, may we stand beside each other. If you learned something today you genuinely didn't know, tell me in the comments. Who do you tie Rakhi to? Your brother? Your cousins? Your bhabhi? Your sister? Or has your family built its own version of this? And if you're not subscribed to this channel yet, this is the video I'd love to hit our next milestone with. A thread that reminds us where we were never supposed to do this alone. Wishing you all a very, very happy Raksha Bandhan. Radhe Radhe.